I walked in, and what I saw completely shattered me. You won't believe what happened next. Would you have done the same or run away? A voyage into the darkness. Never did I envision that I, Elena, would find myself sharing my narrative with the world. Yet here I stand. At 47, I am traversing the intricate landscape of existence, with a divorce in my past, my teenage son Zephyr accompanying me, and a routine that frequently seems unrelenting. Each night, I don my scrubs and step into the world of nursing under the cover of darkness. With every shift, I encounter events that test my convictions and expand the limits of my empathy. The peculiar hours, the relentless fatigue, and the burden of those experiences gradually permeate my essence. Beyond the confines of my job, existence often resembles a tedious cycle: head to work, return home, attempt to find rest, and then embark on the same journey once more. Amidst the monotony and challenges of daily life, I have unearthed a glimmer of hope in an unexpected realm. Bowling. It may appear unremarkable, echoing the simple pastimes often linked to the serene moments of our grandparents' lives, yet it transformed into my sanctuary. Embracing a fresh enthusiasm, I became a member of a local league in Riverside last year, merely to occupy my time. To my surprise, I found that I excelled in it, even earning a spot in an official tournament in Springfield, 3 hours away, an event for which I had devoted months of diligent practice. In that fleeting instant, it seemed as if I was grasping a fragment of my existence prior to the divorce, rekindling the lively essence of who I once was. Yet the excitement was quickly tempered by the duties that come with parenthood. My teenage son Zephyr, grappling with his own rebellious tendencies, required more attention than ever before. Vividly, I recalled the last occasion I had entrusted him to solitude. Upon my return, I discovered that a friend had unwittingly wreaked havoc in our garage while trying to amuse him. Resolute in my decision to avoid a similar ordeal, and with the Springfield tournament on the horizon, I opted for a path that truly reflected my dedication to my aspirations while honoring my duties as a mother. I made plans for us to enjoy a weekend at a hotel in Riverside, close to the Springfield tournament venue. The hotel featured an alluring indoor pool, a delightful indulgence that offered a brief escape from the hustle and bustle of our daily routines. That morning, I awoke with the dawn. Following a soft stretch, I approached to awaken Zephyr from his profound slumber. He nestled beneath the covers, hesitant to abandon the comforting embrace of his bed. With gentle, reassuring insistence, I conveyed to him that breakfast was ready. A serene pause, before we both continued on our separate paths. As I caught the soft murmur of his thoughts drifting towards pancakes, it became clear to me that he was awake, brimming with a quiet excitement of his own. We ventured to the hotel restaurant, where a classic breakfast buffet greeted us with open arms. The room exuded a timeless charm, adorned with classic items, where pancakes lay lavishly drenched in syrup, an array of freshly prepared omelets and eggs beckoned, and a humble selection of crispy bacon completed the inviting tableau. Zephyr stacked his plate with pancakes, each mouthful a soft echo of uncomplicated joys, while I chose a carefully crafted omelet. We lingered in a serene stillness, savoring the tranquility of the morning and the simple pleasure of our shared presence. Once we finished our meal, I inquired if there was anything he wished to do before I had to head to the Springfield bowling alley. His eyes sparkled with excitement as he spoke of a nearby mall in Riverside that housed a specialty store he had longed to explore. The allure of discovering a long-elusive game ignited a spark within him, and for a fleeting moment, we both reveled in the thrill of an impending adventure amidst the chaos of our daily lives. In a world that frequently echoes the monotony of a scratched record, mornings such as these serve as a poignant reminder that life continues to unveil moments of unforeseen beauty. In these precious interludes, nestled between the grueling hours of labor, the brief respites at the bowling alley, and the intimate breakfasts shared, I discover the fortitude to press on. They serve as tender reminders that, in the face of adversity, the mundane can be interspersed with moments of joy, optimism, and the enduring love for a son who, in his own special manner, inspires me daily to persevere. As I navigated the winding roads to the Springfield bowling tournament that morning, each curve represented a stride toward rediscovering a fragment of my former self, a self brimming with fervor and aspirations, instead of merely obligations and fatigue. The tournament transcended mere competition. It stood as a testament to resilience, a celebration of the notion that amidst daunting challenges, moments of triumph and renewal can emerge. As I share my narrative, I encourage you to recognize that even amidst the relentless cycle of obligation and selflessness, there lies the potential to unearth your true self in the most surprising corners of existence. Through the lens of a passion such as bowling, or the simple joy of a shared breakfast that warms the heart, these moments intricately weave the narrative of our lives, reminding us that each day brims with the promise of a fresh start, a journey marked by peaks and valleys. Once I held the conviction that revealing my personal journey was a path I would never tread, yet here I stand, unearthing the intricate twists and turns that have shaped my existence. Not long ago, a day brimming with unforeseen occurrences brought to mind the heavy burden of duty alongside the radiant moments of happiness that fuel my spirit. In my role as a parent, I endeavored to offer Zephyr every possible opportunity, even if it required sacrifices that tested both my finances and my emotions. A modest treat at the Riverside Shopping Center, it was a day that unfolded with a gentle reminder of Zephyr's nature, thoughtful and rarely demanding. He casually shared that he had been dreaming of a specific game. We made our way to the mall on a bustling afternoon, where the hallways were filled with a sea of people, and the vibrant buzz of daily life enveloped us. Our path was unmistakable: GameStop. Upon entering, his eyes sparkled with excitement as he stumbled upon an old used game, its price curiously set at nearly $60. The price caught me off guard, exceeding the amount I typically felt at ease with, yet his enthusiasm was impossible to ignore. The authentic, warm smile gracing his face rendered every sacrifice a meaningful endeavor. With a weary sigh and a profound sense of duty, I retrieved my wallet, settled the cost of the game, and cherished the radiant glow of appreciation and joy in his eyes. Instances of bonding. Following our visit to GameStop, we wandered for hours through the bustling Riverside Mall. As we strolled past the shop fronts, the vibrant throng around us sparked a cascade of cherished recollections, each footfall and exchanged glance transporting us back to an era untouched by the trials of adolescence. The precious, undisturbed moments shared solely between us were truly priceless. It brought to mind our earlier days together, reigniting feelings of closeness and care that I had worried were fading as he aged. An arduous evening spent at the Springfield bowling alley. As the evening unfolded, I found myself back at the bowling alley. Invigorated by the day's bond with Zephyr, I felt rejuvenated and prepared to deliver my utmost at the tempo. Even with my revitalized spirit, the persistent weariness and escalating pressure took a toll on my performance. I fell from a position of potential, once holding second place, to ultimately finishing in fifth. The impact was severe, and while frustration sought to creep in, I reassured myself that setbacks were merely fleeting moments. One of my colleagues from the league, Serafina, triumphed in the tournament, and my pride in her achievement knows no bounds. Serafina's dedication and relentless effort culminated in a victory that became a shared moment of joy for us all. Following the awards ceremony, a handful of us chose to venture out for a modest celebration. Their invitation held an undeniable allure, particularly with the venue situated conveniently just across from our Riverside hotel. A warm and inviting ambience enveloped us as we congregated at a quaint bar. Amidst the laughter, the shared memories, and the clinking of glasses, I allowed myself to relax just a little. Though I typically lean towards moderation, that night I indulged in more than a single glass of wine, surrendering to the carefree essence of the evening, a serene homecoming and contemplations under the stars. As the hour approached a.m., I navigated my way back to our Riverside hotel. In the quiet of the night, Zephyr lay asleep in his room, the gentle light of the TV casting a warm glow upon his serene features. A wave of tranquility and profound maternal affection enveloped me as I gently shut his door and slipped away to the bathroom for a swift change into cozy pajamas. Returning to my sanctuary, I nestled into the embrace of my bed, drawing the covers around me as I endeavored to immerse myself in the soft glow of a movie flickering gently on the screen, yet slumber remained just out of reach. As I reflected on the day's journey, my thoughts drifted through the tapestry of experiences: the escapade at the Riverside Mall, the thrill of the game, the roller coaster of emotions at the Springfield bowling alley, and the joyous celebration that offered a fleeting respite from my worries. In the stillness of the early morning, just past 3 a.m., the soft rustling of Zephyr in his bed captured my focus. I bent down to observe him, captivated by the gentle, rhythmic rise and fall of his blanket as he slumbered, each subtle shift a testament to the life we share. In that serene moment, I found myself enveloped not in loneliness or regret, but in a deep blend of gratitude and reflection. As I pondered the trials woven into the fabric of my everyday life, the relentless demands of my work shifts loomed large, accompanied by the heavy burden of responsibilities. In this intricate dance, the pressures occasionally unveiled unexpected glimpses of vulnerability, yet I found myself reminiscing about the unmistakable instances of affection: his eager grin at the Riverside Mall, the leisurely hours spent browsing shop windows, and the soothing quiet that enveloped us during our breakfast together. A renewed declaration of affection and intent. As I lay there, it dawned on me that within the chaos of existence, these serene interludes held a profound restorative essence. They rekindled the reason I strive onward each day. Zephyr, with his joy, his unwavering spirit, and those subtle, restless motions in the dawn's embrace, stood as a symbol of hope. I came to understand that each challenge and every sacrifice was, in essence, a commitment to not only his future but also to my own path of self-rediscovery. In the stillness of that late hour, accompanied by the gentle hum of the television, I found myself making a quiet promise to treasure each fleeting moment we shared. I resolved to glean wisdom upon every setback, transforming them into stepping stones on my journey of personal growth. The day revealed that amidst the chaos of life, where burdens press down and aspirations appear far away, there remains a sanctuary for joy, connection, and the hope of what lies ahead. In the quiet of that night, as I struggled to find some peace, my heart brimmed with a gentle hope. Hope that each day, regardless of its trials, holds the promise of fresh starts, unforeseen triumphs, and the enduring connection between a parent and a child. I kept pondering whether he would ever become one. Perhaps it was the wine, or perhaps it was the solitude, but I found myself unable to endure it any longer. "Do you need any more?" I blurted out. I was contemplating whether he mentioned that. No, I could just pretend I was talking in my sleep, but to my surprise, he said yes, and that's when it hit me. What am I going to do now? That single word, yes, hung in the air, a stark, undeniable truth. It was like a switch had been flipped. A barrier broken. The fears and the should-haves faded away, replaced by a strange sense of inevitability. It was as if I was watching myself from a distance. A spectator in my own life. I felt a strange detachment, a sense of unreality. It was as if I was stepping out of my body, leaving behind the constraints of morality and societal expectations. I stood up, my legs feeling strangely numb, and walked toward his bed. The room was bathed in the soft glow of the TV, casting long, distorted shadows that danced across the walls. I stopped at the edge of Zephyr's bed, my heart pounding in my chest, a frantic drumbeat against the silence. I could feel the heat radiating from his body, a palpable warmth that drew me closer. I hesitated for a moment, my hand hovering over the edge of the blanket, a silent question hanging in the air. Then, slowly, deliberately, I reached out and pulled the covers down just enough to reveal him. He lay there, his eyes wide, a mixture of surprise and something else, something I couldn't quite decipher. His hand was still wrapped around himself, a silent testament to the act I had interrupted. I stood there for a moment, just looking at him, trying to process what was happening. It was like looking at a stranger, a version of Zephyr I had never seen before. It was a strange mix of familiarity and unfamiliarity, a blurring of the lines between mother and something else. I felt a pull, an almost irresistible urge to touch him. I reached out, my fingers trembling slightly, and gently took his hand away. His skin was warm, slightly damp, the sensation sending a shiver down my spine. I whispered, my voice barely audible. "Let me help you with that." I lowered my gaze, my eyes tracing the lines of his body, the subtle curves and angles that were both familiar and strangely new. I could see the evidence of his arousal. The subtle changes that marked the transition from boy to man. I began to move closer, the air thick with unspoken desires and forbidden thoughts. I watched as my own hand began to move, my fingers tracing slow, deliberate patterns along his length. It was soft and yet so firm, the contrast was intoxicating. I felt my own breath quickening, my own body responding to the forbidden touch. I watched as the precum began to appear, a glistening pearl at the tip. I leaned in, my tongue darting out to taste it, the salty tang sending a jolt of electricity through me. He jerked slightly at the contact, a soft gasp escaping his lips. "Do you want me to?" I whispered, my voice husky with desire. He nodded, his eyes fixed on mine, a silent plea in their depths. I lowered my head, my lips brushing against his skin, the sensation sending a wave of heat through me. I wrapped my lips around him, the taste and texture sending a shiver of pleasure through my whole body. As I moved, I felt his hands move to my hair, gently pulling. I told him with a low, husky voice that if he pulled, he might like what happened. He pulled slightly, and I felt a renewed surge of desire. I told him, harder, and he did. I squeezed him in return. The sensations were overwhelming, a mix of pleasure and guilt, of desire and shame. It was like being caught in a storm, tossed and turned by forces beyond my control. I felt him tense, his body shuddering as he reached his climax. His release was powerful, a surge of warmth that filled my mouth, a taste that was both familiar and forbidden. Afterwards, there was a moment of stunned silence. We lay there, our bodies intertwined, our breaths mingling in the quiet room. The air was thick with unspoken emotions, with the weight of what we had just done. "We can't make a habit of this," I said, finally, my voice barely a whisper. I knew it was a lie, a desperate attempt to cling to some semblance of normality, but the words felt empty, hollow, like a promise I knew I couldn't keep. We tried to talk, to make sense of what had happened, but words seemed inadequate. The emotions were too raw, too complex, too tangled. And then, as if drawn by an invisible force, we found ourselves drawn back to each other. The desire reigniting like a wildfire. He asked me to again, and I found myself unable to refuse. The guilt was still there, a nagging voice in the back of my mind, but it was drowned out by the overwhelming surge of desire. Oh my God, I thought, he's ready again. I wondered if it was a good idea that he had already come, and then my mind began to race with other ideas. The lines between mother and son, between right and wrong, were blurred, distorted, almost non-existent. We were caught in a whirlwind of forbidden desires, a dance of passion and guilt, a secret that would forever bind us together. So there we were, after everything, the air in the room thick, heavy, with unspoken emotions, with the weight of what we'd done. I knew deep down that what had happened was wrong, morally, ethically, every which way you could think of, but the guilt, that heavy, suffocating feeling, was fleeting. It would come in waves, crashing over me, and then recede, leaving behind a strange, almost unsettling sense of anticipation. I kept telling myself, this can't happen again. I tried to reason with myself, to find some way to reconcile what we'd done with the reality of our relationship. But the truth was, the lines had been blurred, maybe even erased, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized I didn't want to erase them. It was like a dark secret, a forbidden thrill that pulsed beneath the surface of our everyday lives. The guilt, the shame, they were there, lurking in the shadows, but they were overshadowed by a strange, almost addictive sense of power and desire. I knew with a chilling certainty that this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of something different, something complicated, something dangerous, something thrilling. I found myself thinking about other things, other possibilities, other ways to explore this newfound dynamic. I started to think about the next time, and what that might look like. I thought of new ways to touch, new ways to explore, new ways to break every single rule we'd ever known. And that's when the truly naughty ideas started to creep in. Ideas that made my heart race, ideas that made my skin tingle, ideas that made me question everything I thought I knew about myself. I started to think about what if we did this again, but somewhere else. What if we pushed the boundaries even further? Here is my question for you. What would you do if you found yourself in a situation like this, caught up in a whirlwind of forbidden desires? What would you do? Would you run? Would you try to forget? Or would you explore? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Secrets and Lies channel for more true infidelity stories.